Okay, we're going live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to NJGAE Presents Thankful for Theater. You may notice that I am just a speaking orb, and that is because technical difficulties happened during a pandemic. So I will probably continue being this orb for the rest of the night, but that will not diminish my excitement to be here and my excitement to be with Miss Valerie Gargus, who is my current coach and everything else with theater, pretty much, and then was Priscilla's. So, Ms. Gargus, can you introduce yourself and kind of give us an understanding of who you are, what you've done, that sort of thing, and then we can also introduce Priscilla, though she has been here before.
Okay, I'm Valerie Gargus. I actually went to school to be a theater teacher, but in the late 70s, it's very difficult to get a teaching job at all. So I also got an English certificate, and because the problem was is that we baby boomers glutted the education department, and there weren't enough kids. There was a decline in enrollment at that time. And so the competition for the jobs was very fierce. I did manage to get a job teaching at Northern Burlington County Regional High School, eighth grade English. I think what gave me an edge was that they needed somebody to also direct the play. So I did enjoy teaching English, and I continued to just direct the plays continually. Um, in but I started to fight to be able to teach a basic theater arts class. They had me teaching drama electives, but there was only to seniors, and by that time, usually it was the last half of their year, and the class just grew and grew because word of mouth got around that it was just a great class, and so I was eventually teaching half of the senior class at that time. So practically my entire schedule was seniors. Um, and so but I continue to fight like the importance of theater. So my fight was continually that theater does teach life skills, as both of you know, and you're going into other fields, you know how much theater has prepared you in all theaters. I mean, in all areas, no matter what field you go into, theater helps you with your communication skills, with whether it's public speaking or even just interpersonal communication, communicating with one another. It helps you also to really focus and listen to people. It helps you to in your observation skills, noting what could be a problem and thinking it through. Creative thinking, definitely. Working with others. You have to work with others in order to um, put together a show. And so you need, like, not only do you need to work well with others, but you learn to be a group that creates together. And of course, in all job areas, that is what you do. Very, very important in this time of technology, in fact. So, problem solving, observation skills, listening, communication, all of that is learned from theater. What is unique about theater? Theater encompasses all of the arts. Anytime you do a play, it's not just the actors. Oh, no, no, no. Or the director who does all the problem solving and creative thinking. But no, you need someone to build scenery. So you're going to your tech people. The practical arts are so involved. You need people that know how to build. And then, of course, you go to your visual artists who will paint the scenery and give you lovely scenery. Who will, you need people who do, artists who will design costumes. You need practical artists who will make the costumes. You need, again, artists to create the makeup designs and application. So, again, you're going into your cosmetology area. You, need electricians to be able to do the lighting and the sound system. And of course, you need those musicians to be able to do music when you do musicals, and singers, and of course, dancers. You can't have a musical without dance and singing and music and your actors. And so, theater does all arts. And that's what I loved about theater. So, back to my story, I eventually had an administrator. One administrator retired, and I finally had an administrator that turned around and said to me, it's time you taught a theater class. So happy. So it started with just one in 1992, and then it built to a couple of classes of theater arts, and then they allowed me to teach a class called play production, which is a secondary class, and then advanced acting, and then even directing a play. And I know that both of you have had all those classes. I remember Priscilla being in my directing class and doing a really good job. um, so it was able to build to a point where in 2000 I did not teach English anymore, and I just had all theater. And from there, I was able to continue to build on the program. We didn't just have plays. In 1990, I started our chapter of the International Thespian Society, and I took my kids to the Speech and Theater Association of New Jersey competitions, and we started the New Jersey Drama and Forensics League team within our school. Um, so the program was just able to grow, and now there are many wonderful professionals that are at Northern Burlington to be able to carry on all the different areas that we have, and it's very exciting. I did retire 5 years ago, but they have me still doing the Thespian Society, which I'm grateful for. It's difficult because everything is at home now; it's remote, but I still get to see their faces, and I still get to see them act online, and that's still a joy to me. So that's my story.
Yeah, I am in the Thespian Society with Mrs. Gargus, and then my mother is texting me. Okay, anyway, so I'm in the Thespian Society with Mrs. Gargus, and then I'm going to be taking directing, and I took theater arts, and it I can attest, as well as Priscilla, I imagine, can attest to how great the theater classes are at Northern. Whether or not the theater program gets enough money is a different thing, but we have a great program, and I think that's something that's lacking for a lot of students all around the state and all around the country. And we were very blessed to have that, and it was all due to you.
Oh, thank you. In 2002, I think Priscilla was in there somewhere, but I got the education department's best practice award for developing the directing a play class. It'd been running for a while, and they considered it a great program because the directors were put into the basic theater arts class, and they direct the theater arts students in their short plays. So they become teachers within they're more advanced, so they're teachers in the class. So that's a great program. I got the governor's award in 2008 because I became the festival director for the New Jersey Thespian Festival, and the Stange people at Stange who nominated me appreciated that work that I did in the scheduling and the registration and putting that all together. So I became festival director. Still do it. It's still fun. Now everything is virtual right now. It's a little bit annoying, but yeah.
Yeah, board meetings seem longer when you're just looking at a computer.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that, I'm going to move on to a couple of questions, and then we can just kind of, whatever springs from that, it's just kind of like a conversation about how thankful we are for you, how thankful students across the nation are for their theater teachers, and just your path and how you've come to be here and all the everything. So you discussed your governor's award winning, which is super, super cool. So what did that mean to you?
It it just meant a lot to me that my peers would recognize the work that I had done for them. I mean, I enjoy it, not for getting awards, but the award was just nice. I enjoy being there for the other teachers to help them out with their problems and trying to register. And I do, because they're used to reaching out to me, I then will help them quite often with just problems that they have in their own troupe. in their own schools. I've had them actually call me. I'm dealing with this with my thespians. What should I do? Some advice, and I find that quite fulfilling. So I'm happy to be able to still be doing it after I've retired. So.
Wonderful.
You still there, Jocelyn? Oh, there she is.
So Priscilla said that she had a question for you, and I think that's super awesome. We are here to ask you all the questions.
I didn't know if we had a formal program, so I just wanted to enter in a question. As we know, the theme tonight is thankful, so we are both very thankful for our theater education and for Mrs. Gargus. As Jocelyn stated, we are both, well, Jocelyn's current student. I am a past student of Mrs. Gargus, and I can definitely say that my theater arts education has put me on my career path that I am currently on, and lucky enough to bring this program with Jocelyn to everybody because of the opportunities I have. And the ability that I can speak to you right now is partly because of my theater arts education. If I can talk just very briefly before my question.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was a very shy student.
She was.
I'm very quiet. The kind that sits and reflects before I answer, if I answer at all. And I would say I still have aspects of that, and I've come out of my shell. But when I signed up in 9th grade for theater, no one believed me. Because they're like, why are you doing theater? Yeah, they just couldn't comprehend. But I felt as that young that I needed to push my boundaries, and I needed to do something that I wasn't used to doing, or I never be able to find out if I could. And so I stuck with it until senior year, and my motivation, and I did it. And everybody can do it. Everybody can do it. In college, you take public speaking classes. This will prepare you. And I can say my senior year, the directing a play class, that was my motivation. I wanted to direct a play. I wanted to direct the first year of theater students. And I remember what play I did. I did Lepers. It was around 9/11. That piece spoke to me. And I wanted to tell that story of not including everyone, of people being the outcasts. And it just spoke to me in the current times as being a student. And I remember sitting in the audience, because that's what we did as directors. We would sit out there sometimes and listen to how the audience reacted to our plays, and listening to the commentary was really, really neat, and to have that perspective, and to have the full theater perspective. And I can just say, when I reflect on my arts experiences, I always bring up directing a play, because that was my goal. That took me outside my boundaries, and I really, really enjoyed it.
I should say that personality trait that you have of, I am so sorry.
From 800.
All the phones.
Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I should say that trait of yours of being quiet and listening until you say something, that actually makes you a very good director, because you contemplate before you say what you're going to say. And I'm hiding that under a pillow. and so it's being thoughtful and listening before you speak is a huge skill to have in communication and in theater and in talking with people at all. You don't need to jump in and just as things come to you. It's better to listen and then respond. And you give people the feeling that, they're important and what they have to say too, rather than just jumping in and talking over them. So it made you a very good director, I have to say. I think that's when you really, really came out, because you were quiet and shy, but theater arts makes a huge difference. And I just want to add that our guidance counselors, once they really got to know what theater was all about, they were putting in I think that's one of the reasons why my classes grew, because they were very smart in knowing that students who are quiet and shy, they could find a place in theater. And you would think, what, in theater? Yeah, because we start off with just little theater games of everybody coming together and just kind of talking, so that you feel comfortable with each other to be able to step out and then perform. And what was your first performance? It was a pantomime. You didn't have to open your mouth. So and then you did some improvisation. You didn't have to learn a script. You just kind of made things up as you went along, so you weren't encumbered with that. It's important to take baby steps no matter what field you're in. Don't ever think you need to just jump into the deep end and swim, because that's really not the best way to train in anything. You need to find your comfort zone and work little by little. And I think that's what's so great about theater. They also, not only the quiet kids, but the kids with they're somewhat on the spectrum, they thrive in that class. So yeah, I enjoyed. I had a couple of blind kids. I had kids that were in wheelchairs, and they just loved the class. So it broadens everyone's abilities to be able to survive in the world. So.
Yes.
I think continuing on that, it really creates a community, and that's something we've discussed a lot through this series, and just in general as we are all stuck at home. Theater and art and films and everything brings us back into the community and brings us back to that comfort, which I think is a very valuable thing. And Priscilla, were you about to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say my question. I did all that intro.
Let's hear this question. I'm excited.
Yes. So my question is for, let's say, districts that don't have theater programs. What words of wisdom, advice would you give to a prospective theater educator to advocate for bringing theater to their district?
I think you even have at Arts Ed, don't you have a lot of material to be able to present? Yeah, so they can definitely go to you. That is one of the things I did when I was fighting. I presented an entire paper about how the arts and theater in particular, then, because they already had visual arts and music, but how theater builds the skills that a person needs out there in life. And it's just like, oh, we don't need actors. Well, they don't need to train. But that's really not what theater is about. It is to make you comfortable to get out there no matter what you're going to do. And it was amazing to me that there was one time I did a letter of recommendation to American University in Washington, D.C. And it was for a student going to be a law major. And I actually got an a reply from them thanking me for the letter, and they said how they loved getting students in the law field who had had theater. So it made them more comfortable to be speaking in court. The processes they had to go through to put together their argument, making them quick on their toes in improvisation. All of those skills lend themselves very well to the law field. And so it was funny. I started then just suggesting this guidance office a lot. It's like, you have kids that want to go into law, put them in theater. Makes a difference. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you need to have that background. You need to have them say, look at these schools, look what they're doing, look what they're accomplishing. And there are a lot of schools in New Jersey that are doing a lot of things with theater with their kids. with the competition teams and all the awards they're bringing home. The Thespian Society looks great on college recommendations. That the fact that they're in an honorary drama club shows the colleges a great deal. And for schools to ignore those types of opportunities for students and focus more on sports, it's not fair to those kids, because a school like Northern Burlington has been wonderful about giving the kids opportunities to do the things that they want to do, that's going to broaden them and get them ready for work. Sports are important to a lot of kids. I would never deny kids their sports. Don't deny kids the theater. It's the same to so many kids.
Absolutely. There's always articles discussing the importance of sports, and there's the articles that are discussing the importance of theater, yet they are not held at the same level, which
Right.
is just it's very difficult for people who are not athletically gifted, I'd say.
Well, I noticed that, they make a big deal out of the fact these kids are getting all these athletic scholarships. But you know what? I've had a lot of kids throughout the years who have gotten huge scholarships for all the act while they're acting. And when they present that they've gotten a whole bunch of awards, that is just really impressive to the college, and they'll give them all kinds of scholarships. I've had my own students receive a lot of scholarships, and I just want to say hi to Tim. I just saw you say hi. Tim graduated, I think, in 88 or 9. I know it was the very end of the 80s, and now he's part of one All for One. All for One. Yeah. I was amazed that he's even on here. Hello.
That's awesome.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes, so we can move on to our next question.
Mm-hmm.
What impact did arts education have on your life? So we know you were a teacher for a long time, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What led you to so this is a two-parter. One of them, the first part is, what was your experience with arts education? What did you get from the education programs that you may or may not have had? And then the other part of the question is, how did you know that teaching was what you wanted to do?
Okay. When I was in high school, my junior year is when I moved to New Jersey, and I saw their senior play that they did, and I was just like, "Wow, this is really great!" And not only that, I had a history teacher. It was U.S. History 1. She took us to Broadway to see 1776, because after all, that's U.S. history, right? And since I just moved to New Jersey, I was floored by seeing 1776, my first Broadway show, and I just fell in love with it. And I loved, I just loved it. So then I saw the high school play, and I said, "This is great. I'm going to go out for the plays then." And I was in every play after that until I graduated. We did have a couple of mini classes of theater in my senior year, and I loved the teacher. She was the director of the shows too, Mrs. Zablocki. I don't know if she's still out there, Helene Zablocki. She was just a wonderful teacher. I wish I could contact her and tell her how much I appreciate all she's done. Then I thought, oh well, I'm going to do some theater in college. But you know what? I have to tell you, my mother said you should be in theater because this is what you really like to do. And I said, yeah, because then I'm being like my dad. I'm going, but it's not practical. What am I going to do with it? Where, and so I thought, well, I do care about taking care of people, so I'll be a nursing major. So I started off first semester nursing major at William Patterson College. And then I was also in a play because I still auditioned for a play. It's like, this is really what I want to do. So at the end of that semester, I switched my majors, made the nursing department a little upset. But I went on to do what I wanted to do. And then I was like, well, really, what am I going to do with this? And I realized that helping people as a nurse, you also help people as a teacher. And I do and did enjoy working with kids. So I thought, I really enjoy being with high school kids. And so that was my goal. And because, let me tell you, one thing in college is that if you're a theater major, they expect you to be, for the most part, either acting, directing, or technical. And I understand that. But if you're going to be a teacher, you have to do it all. So I took everything. I was in both departments at the same time. And when a show came along, I was like, I think I'll audition for this one. Or I'm going to design the set for this one. Or I'm going to stage manage this one. Or do the costumes. And I ended up doing everything so that I got everything under, on my resume through college. I did some community theater also, acting in that, and it was fun. So that when I was able to apply for a job, even though it was very hard to get a job, as I said, I was able to get the job at Northern Burlington, even though there was I mean, I'm sure there were tons of candidates for that English position. But my theater, I think, is what got me in there because the previous director had said he was done doing it. So, yeah. Um, but that's where and I need to tell you, my mother, she passed away this last April, so I miss her so much. But she was so supportive, and when I switched my major to theater, um, she said honestly to me, I was a little nervous about you switching to theater after you were afraid you wouldn't be able to do anything with it. But then after the show tonight, she went to one of the shows. I watched you with all your friends and you were having so much fun that I knew you were with the right people, that you were with your people. So my mother was just she had that intuition about things, she knew. So,
I think I think every person who has been in theater or has been in an art field has that story where their parent was like, okay, so like this is I don't know, there's some which don't because it's following what you love, but I think a majority of people, they have that moment, whether it be when they're in high school or when they're an adult, when their parent is like, oh, okay, so this is what you're meant to do. Okay, cool. So I'm going to support you now.
Mm-hmm.
Priscilla, do you have a story like that?
Do I have a story like that? Not really. I mean, I have come in contact with a lot of students, even as of recently, that have come up to me at various festivals and have said, my mom wants me to be a doctor, but I want to be a singer or something. What do I say to my mom? And as a mom myself, I'm like, oh, but it's one of those things where the advocacy comes in, where it says, well, you can go to our website, artsednow.org or artsednj.org, and tell your mom that the arts makes a well-rounded human and that you don't have to grow up to be an artist, but you can pursue your passion, as Mrs. Gargus said, and it will give you life skills for a well-rounded human, for someone that can go in any career direction. And we see this all the time with the performing arts series that we do, like this, where alumni, students that received governor's awards, they may have went in different directions, many different directions. Some are teachers, some are lawyers. I talked to someone who's in the corporate world the other day and takes the opportunity to mentor up and coming students, but she still sings. She still does music, and that's her passion. And, they find students, everyone finds opportunities to still have that passion and pursue the arts, but it's the skills that the arts give you that you take with you on your journey. And really that's what I like to tell parents and students that are concerned about having that conversation. There's statistics, there's, you know, the arts help with the SATs. If you're concerned about the numbers, they help with grades, they help with social emotional learning, mental health. There are so many things that the arts are a vehicle for. When we talk about trying to address crisis, there's arts therapy. There's, you know, many ways that we as humans need the arts to help us, and help us on our journeys to being whole humans. And I love how that's like a reoccurring theme tonight, and about how we're all thankful for that journey we're taking.
Absolutely. It's astounding. Like, every single person I've talked to on this stream, I've been doing this stream for over 6 months now, which is wild to think about, but I was doing it before quarantine, so I believe. And so it's just really fascinating talking to all these artists and talking to all these professionals who have won the Governor's Award, who are just like vaguely related to the Governor's Award. And it's very interesting hearing their stories, because you see the building of it, you see the skills that come from it, you see the value in it. And it's very fascinating. And it proves how worthwhile it all is.
You know, those children that, you know, they decide they want to be a doctor, and I do have past students who are doctors now, surgeons. They have found that the interpersonal skills that they learn in theater classes really helps them to be better doctors, that they're able to focus on their patients and really listen to them. You know, the best appointment I had recently with a doctor was a telemedicine appointment, because I was able to speak to him one-on-one finally without this mask that we've been dealing with. And I didn't even know what the bottom of his face looked like before. And suddenly I'm feeling we were able to talk so much more comfortably with one another in the way I was feeling. So I think those interpersonal skills are really, really important. And also, as a doctor, you do have to present your cases, and you do public speaking in front of a forum, in front of other doctors and things like this. So although they might not have the time to be able to pursue theater in college, because the medical field is very difficult, if they've been able to have those classes in high school, it would make a huge amount of difference for them.
Absolutely. So for everyone who's currently watching, please put questions in the chat, well wishes. Please be a part of this conversation as well. We want to hear from you. We want to see you through your words. And yeah, and it is really interesting looking at like the path on what it is. I believe that there is a statistic on our website which talks about like what people typically go into when they are in those classes. I feel like I saw that. I may be being wonky.
I don't know. I'll have to look. I know if you go to artsednow.org, you can check out the infographics and the stats and resources on the correlation between, you know, arts education, as I said, and various studies that have been done on, you know, SATs, on different. Oh, thank you. And it also tells you information about how you can be an advocate in your community and district for arts education, to keep arts education in place during this very challenging time for everyone. The arts are a core subject in New Jersey, and they should be treated as such. And we should make sure that they stay in place and are respected during this difficult time for everyone. And that they are the reason why some students come to school, why some students participate in school, and they are what they look forward to. And and even as Mrs. Gargus said, she was on a field trip for history class and went to a play. They are intertwined with all subjects, and one day we may realize that.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's, I don't know if, you must know this, Priscilla, how during this pandemic, some schools were actually having some of their arts teachers, instead of even some of our theater teachers, instead of actually teaching their course this year, they're making them be assistants to other teachers during this whole remote time. When of all the times a kid needs a break, needs to focus on some creativity, some art, is now. And I think it's the kids are just becoming disconnected, and they need something to connect with.
Yes,
So I think that's very sad that that's happening.
yes. We actually have a new survey up on our social Arts Ed NJ social media, and out through our e-blast and e-newsletters. It's a survey for arts educators and arts administrators to let us know how it's going out in the field. And this is our second survey that we're having. The first one was right at the start of the school year, and we were able to collect a lot of information and actually able to help, let teachers contact the right people so that different things could happen, and it improved the situation. So once again, we're taking the survey, and we're going to help and support in any way that we can to make sure that our arts educators are respected and that they are able to teach, and that the arts stay in place.
Thank goodness. We so appreciate you with the advocacy.
Aw.
Aw. It was 1988. Thank you. Tim Kennedy just came on, so it was 1988. He graduated.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Might I add, when we posted that you were coming on this evening, I also posted this event in all the various groups in the area, the Northern Burlington area. And if you get a chance, definitely check out the commentary. There was people from all ages in there saying, giving you love, and very happy that you were featured on this.
Aw, look at them. Thank you. How do you get, I can't even figure out how to go through all of it. I mean, it's not moving for me. I don't know.
I'll share it with you. I hope they
Okay.
tune in, and I'd love to see more commentary and more students pop up and share, as the theme is thankful. So everyone is thankful.
Aw. I think Andrew Orange, he said that your mentorship and guidance back in high school was seminal. I remember finally staying late as we were preparing for the first theater competition at our school, and the skills I learned through that are used in my day job every day. Still to this day, I use relaxation techniques you taught me over a decade, one of the acting classes, to center myself.
Oh,
So it's something else that lends itself. Thank you, Andrew.
I'm extraordinarily lucky to have you as my my current coach for various reasons, because you're awesome, and all the things that everyone has said, but also because I have this internship, and then Priscilla was like, who's a teacher you're thankful for? Have a teacher you're thankful for, come on. And I was like, Miss Gargus, and
Oh, thank you. I'm so thankful for you.
and you can see so many people are thankful for you because you've made such an impact, because one, you do arts well, you teach arts so well, and then the arts are so important. It just makes sense.
Thank you. I'm so thankful for you too. God has blessed me with students that have always come alongside just when I need them. Jocelyn right now in this time of COVID is so good at this whole StreamYard thing that I'm just relying on her. When we had our induction ceremony virtual, she did that. We're going to be doing our chapter select. She did that. She's going to be doing the fall play for that stream. Yeah, she's doing all of that. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it's wild. Like, figuring out it, like in a lot of ways it's difficult being a film person during right now, because I can't have people come to set because the set is my house and I can't, so I had a film which I've been working on for the past like month or two, and I have to cancel it, and I have to figure out a new thing for Thespian Festival. Yeah. But but then in the other hand, it's very, very valuable having this skill set and knowing what cameras, when they do things, what that means. Because then when we have induction ceremonies, when we have fall plays, when we have chapter selects, I have the opportunity of using that knowledge for the betterment of everyone, not just my own films. Though my own films hopefully better other people as well.
Well, I'll tell you, Northern Burlington, let's see, Tom's River, there are a number of schools that are working so hard to be able to still provide for their students what they would have gotten if they'd just been there actually in school. So they're still going on with the fall play and the musical, even though everything is live streamed. They're at least getting that. There are some schools that are just like, nope, we're not doing it. And it's very sad at a time when kids really need a release, as I said before. To deny them the arts is detrimental to them socially, psychologically, because it is something that lifts you up and makes you feel good about yourself, and that's really important in the well-being as a human being.
Especially when virtual classes are so hard. You wouldn't think that virtual classes would be so difficult, but they are, because you're in your space all the time. You don't have a separate space to like live your life outside of school. And then also staying on track of all the different links and all the different everything. This one thing, for me, it's film. And then for other people, it's theater. And for other people, it's acting. And it's all these things that spark your life and make you feel less lonely. And so when we're home all the time, the idea of not having that opportunity for people who love it, it's so disheartening and so
It really is.
difficult.
And today I sent out an email to all the thespian directors saying, listen, if you think that you're going to have a financial problem because of the pandemic causing schools to close down, you can't get to your accounts, that you don't have the money in the budget, we do have a contingency plan in place. Please email me, because we do not want students missing out on an opportunity to be able to have a great theater weekend. I know it's still at your house, but you get to be engaged and actually participate in workshops and actually upload your own pieces and have them judged. And some of them will even be shown. The chapter selects will be running. And so we want to make sure that that gets done no matter what the situation that we're in right now. So we're reaching out. For some reason, Tim's asked me if I've written any theatrical works.
Yeah, Tim, I was actually about to ask you that. Were you asking me? Were you asking Gargus? Were you asking Priscilla? Who are you asking? Because we would all love to answer. I just am confused on who you addressed it to. So if you could hit that comments for us, that would be great. You're like our fourth host. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Tim's out in California. I think, unless he's home right now on, like visiting or something, but he lives out in California. So I'm just amazed that somehow he even knew about this show being on.
That's the power of technology. It's
Yes.
it's wild posting on all my social medias, because I realize the scope. Oh, Miss Gargus. So have you written?
No, I haven't had the time to even think it, but I will tell you that when I've had the permission from playwrights to change up pieces we have to be able to fit, what we have for our own students. And this is after your time, Tim, because I didn't even have theater arts classes until you'd already graduated. But when I developed the play production class, that class has a playwriting component to it. And kids were in groups and they wrote their own plays. So, you're in Virginia Beach now. Anyway, so those kids would every day they would improvise. They would be writing their plays, and then they had to connect me in as an editor. and I had to keep on reading what they were doing, and I would then give them suggestions. And yes, Andrew did take that class. I was like, I think Jocelyn, no, you didn't, but Priscilla, you did. Yes, and so I did lend playwriting skills to the kids. I had actually taken a class in New York City to get ready for teaching that unit. It was a playwriting course that I just really, really enjoyed in Manhattan. And they gave me a lot of skills that I went on to lend to the kids. But it's all around putting in a theme and creating your characters to then try and explain what it is you're trying to say about something. What the message is that you want to say, and then of course building their characters, and they all have to be different, and how to build around that. So yeah, it was just basically my suggesting, well, what about this, and or this character needs to be a little bit more about this person, that type of thing. So I coached playwriting, didn't write actual plays. Oh my
I was
goodness.
actually just about to ask the same question. What was your favorite? And if you can't pick a favorite, what was your top 3?
Okay. Fiddler on the Roof in 1984. I know that's going way back, but that one, it was like I'd only been there for this is my 4th year, but I think it was like everything just came together so well because I guess I'd built up enough kids. By this point, they were seniors that had been coming up with me that we just clicked, and it was just an absolutely beautiful show. Les Miserables in 2008. That was actually my first time coming back to a musical for a while, because after I had my daughter, I stopped doing shows for a little bit until she was in school, and then I only did the fall play, and then the Thespian Society and NJGAAE at that time. And then I went back to musical in 8, and that was a beautiful show, Les Miserables. As for regular plays, A Midsummer Night's Dream, our 1999 production, and Andrew, I did really enjoy 13 Past Midnight when you were in that. That was a lot of fun. Some other ones I really. Oh, David and Lisa was a beautiful show in 2014, and Radium Girls was really good. Oh, there's been so many.
Radium Girls was one of the first ones I saw at Northern. I saw Radium Girls, and I saw Into the Woods, and I was like, oh wow, okay, cool. So this is what I'm going to be doing when I come here. That's awesome.
Another one was Never Saw Another Butterfly. That was very impactful. It was about the concentration camp in Terezin with children. Now, you want to talk about putting all the arts together? The play is based on letters and artwork written by the children in Terezin. Now, they were not allowed to actually study. Jewish children were not allowed to actually study history or math or anything like that, but they allowed them to be amused by doing artwork, and they did some beautiful artwork. You can still see this artwork, and their poetry was one of the things they wrote in the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. And we actually took the cast on a Saturday to the museum. So, and when they saw the poetry and it just really struck them, because there's stuff they've been reciting and that kind of thing. And what we did was I turned to the art teacher and I said, advanced art, and said, would your kids be interested in, I gave her the book of the artwork. Would your kids be interested in painting this and like doing replicas of it, very large? And they were amazed, and they just did a beautiful job, and they were all around the auditorium. Mr. Taylor at the time was my set person, and he built that what was that, work makes free in German, that big huge gate, so when people came through into the auditorium, it was like they were in the concentration camp. Arbeiten macht frei, that's what it is in German, work makes free. And that was really well done. And we had sound effects of the trains picking up the people, and we had the butterflies, actually, gobos of lights of yellow that just spread butterflies across the stage when the kids were doing the poetry. And it was, yeah, that made the papers. That was beautiful.
You've had a lot of, from when I've been here, we've had a lot of like very creative, like lighting. Though we have like technical issues as every show does, there's always been very creative lighting. So, transitioning to one more question from Tim, though we love your questions, we will have to close down in about 10 minutes. There's also 3 closing questions from what we have. So we're going to go rapid fire. Are you excited? Because I am. It's less dramatic, but here's the question from Tim.
Have you ever directed or starred in a play that wasn't coming together well, that you were like, I can't believe I'm about to open this show tonight? Maybe some of the play production classes, or even theater arts classes, and I didn't direct them. I was the teacher of the class, because there were some kids in there that were not serious about theater and just kind of blew it off, and then they just froze on the stage, and I knew that was going to happen. I saw it coming in class, and it's kind of like a lesson learned. If you don't do the work, you're not going to do well. And that's one of the things you teach is preparation. Just, the Boy Scouts got it right. Okay. Be prepared. Be prepared. And if you don't learn your lines, and if you don't practice, you're not prepared. You're not going to remember it right off the top of your head on the night of the show. You will freeze. Guaranteed. And so that happened. My last fall play last year, a year ago, I got very, very upset because the lighting system went out on Saturday night. That was a freak out moment for me like I've never seen. But you know what? The audience was so nice. And, Jocelyn just talked about the beautiful lighting. And I worked really hard on all those cues, and it killed me. And so we just had to throw on all the auditorium lights, put on both spotlights bright on them as much as we could, and go. But you know what? For some reason, being off for a while, I thought, let me just try during intermission. And sure enough, they finally came on. It must have been like some kind of a burnout or something. But actually, we found out later on that it was the bulbs that the custodian had switched out, thinking he was saving electricity or something, but it screwed up the system. So I'm sure he felt very bad about that. So that was about it. I've always given the kids plenty of time to rehearse, and that's one of the reasons why, for my own shows, the fall plays and the musicals, we've never run into this. Like, I can't believe this is about to go up. So yeah, sometimes I freaked about the scenery being done on time. That's happened, but I'm not in charge of the scenery, so. Oh, thank you, Tim. I think about you a lot, and when I've seen you on television, it's just amazing to me.
That's so wonderful.
So our next question is, what is something that inspires you during this time? And also, I think we can expand this one to, what is something that inspires you in general? What through your life and that sort of thing.
I know this is a public thing, but I am a Christian, and I'm going to say it straight out that God is my inspiration for everything, and prayer and contemplation, and so that has been the biggest part of my life. I do enjoy now in my retirement, not just spending time with students and helping them to be better at what they do, but I do enjoy going for walks and nature, and that calms my spirit also. You do need to get out and take in the greenery. It's been shown that actually helps your brain to do better. To those colors are there for a reason. That's the way that we've been developed and attuned to. So just being inside is not good, and that's what's a problem right now. So getting out there, the fall colors have been gorgeous this year. Now the leaves are all dropped, but it was like one of the most glorious falls I've ever seen. And I just said, God, this has to be because we've been so caged up that we now have this beautiful scenery right there. We don't have to go to a store, to the restaurant. We can just enjoy this. So there is artwork right out there in nature for you to enjoy and people to paint and to take advantage of. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So, what is something from your career that you are proud of? I'm sure there's millions of things, but you want to share an anecdote with us?
There's just so many little things. I think the best thing is when I have kids like Andrew and Tim reaching back from the decades past and Priscilla, and it's just, and I see how successful they've been when I suddenly see like Tiffany Cox suddenly show up in a commercial or on an episode of Grey's Anatomy. It's just like, what, I know that girl, oh my gosh, and I had to figure it out because so many students have gone by, and just to see them in things, working behind the scenes, business offices of theaters, just really doing well in their careers because they've had a background with theater. And I just feel, and not just that, when I see students that were shy at one time, and then there's suddenly there's such a difference between what they were like as a freshman and as a senior, like Priscilla. Those moments, I think, are the most fulfilling of all. When I see a student that just flies with the knowledge that they have, they become immersed and they're able to just feel so comfortable with themselves and be able to flourish in whatever career they go into. Um, I even had a couple, when I retired, I wasn't allowed to go near the school for a year, but that's part of the pension plan. Then the next year I started subbing, a year after that. And two boys came up to me. I'm not going to say who they are, but they came up to me in the cafeteria when I was doing duty, and they said, Mrs. Gargus. And I go, oh my goodness. And they said, we loved your class. We couldn't have done. And it made such a difference to us. And I need to tell you, those two failed my class for the year. So I was like, and then it just like they like hanging out with me and knowing that they didn't do the work, they didn't do their C's, they didn't memorize their lines, they didn't just like, but they just enjoyed being in the class, and they took away from it the ability to be able to communicate and be comfortable in front of people. So if anything, at least I know that they took away things, even though they didn't get the credits.
I will never understand that. I think when I'm in classes that I enjoy, I do my best. Like I want to, especially if I really respect the teacher, not that if I don't do well in your class, I don't respect you. It is not that. My teachers in math, I respect you very much. I just am not good at math. But it's specifically when I respect the class and I respect the teacher, I do even better because I want to, one, impress you guys. And then I want to put in that effort because I love it. I want to spend my time doing that. So that's just, I don't know, it's very interesting that is the mindset that some people have.
And, it is so hard to show my frustration with these children and try and convince them to do their work. And you just get so exhausted, but you got to keep trying to do what you can. And it was so rare I would have a student fail ever. And they were the only two that failed that particular year. And I had gone for years without a single kid failing.
Wow.
But, oh well.
So sadly, we are on to our last question. The time with you always flies by. I was looking at the time and it was suddenly 45 minutes and I went, no! So our last question is, what words of wisdom do you have for young artists?
Work hard at what you want to do. Be kind to others. Listen to each other. It's important that you put down the phone that you look each other in the face and communicate what you how you feel, and understand the other person, and don't feel like you have to jump in there and be the one talking all the time. Listen to them, listen to what they have to say before you say something, and then put your mind to what it is that you want to do, and give yourself also some time to relax. Budget your time, don't waste it. That's a huge thing.
Absolutely. So with that, Priscilla, do you have any questions, comments?
I have two things.
Absolutely.
I want to thank Mrs. Gargus for joining us this evening. It's been wonderful, and it was so neat seeing your students over the years tune in and remind themselves to tune in, which was wonderful. And I'm sure you're going to leave this feeling very, very full in your heart. I do also want to, as we brought up Arts Ed Now and Arts Ed NJ several times this evening, I want to share the opportunity on Monday evening at 7 p.m. to join a regroup and brainstorm with Arts Ed Now. You can go to artsednow.org and find the Zoom link for Monday night at 7 p.m. As I said before, these are unprecedented times. They call for unprecedented measures to protect arts education and keep arts education programs in place. We need to mobilize arts education champions across the state to get ready for 2021 and beyond. And we need to help our arts educators. We need everyone to get involved now. We have 3 Zoom sessions to mobilize with other arts ed champions from across the state this winter to get ready. So our first meeting will be a Monday, as I said, at 7 p.m., the regroup and brainstorm. It's completely informal. Don't feel like you don't hesitate. If you want to advocate for arts education, no matter who you are, please join us. And please spread the word and share any information with parents, students, educators that you may know that may want to be advocates for arts education. That's all I have. And thank you both for having me.
Thank you.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure having you on here. So with that, we close out for tonight. This was so awesome. I love you very much, Mrs. Gargus. I'm so you made such a difference in my life. It's wild to even look back on, even though I'm only in senior year.
Oh,
thank you.
Wonderful.
But it's important to advocate for the arts, because the arts is very, very important in our economy too. And it's very sad the way things have shut down. They're managing in other ways to do virtual stuff, and we need to support them in their work right now. And when things open up, make sure you go back out there and support the arts.
Absolutely. So thank you everyone who tuned in. Thank you everyone who commented. Thank you, Tim and Andrew. I hope
they join every week.
Can they come every week? I know. I love when people comment. It makes it so much. It makes it feel like even more of a community.
Yep.
With that, I hope everyone has a great night. I hope everyone stays safe and everyone has a happy Thanksgiving. And go email your teachers that you had in the past, or email your teachers that you have now, and tell them how thankful you are for them. And comment #thankful4teachers on your social medias, and tag us so we can see it, because maybe we can repost it. So thank you and have a great night, everyone.